Hey, folks, how are you? Phil Davis, Ancestry Lands, ancestrylands.com. Folks, how are you today? Let me ask you a question. You're live with Uncle Phil.
You're now listening to
Helio Contos.
Allow me to reintroduce myself.
Uncle Phil, how are you, folks? Ancestry Lands, ancestrylands.com. Folks, how are you today? Today's Tuesday, it's April 25th. We're almost approaching the end of the month, going into May, Mother's Day. Folks, I wanted to ask a question, and that's the one of the titles of this program. We're going to get into it. Do you have the willpower to do what it takes to get it done, to believe in yourself? Uh, Many times in life, and this comes from a conversation I had earlier on the walks, morning walks I do with one of my neighbors here. He's from India. Shout out to you, Anish. I'm sure he's watching. And we had a conversation. And a lot of times in my conversations, I'm always learning something new. Um, Before we get started, today's program is sponsored by everyhomelife.com. Every Home Life, where they have tons of household goods. You've seen them before. The projector that I have from them that I use in other videos. It's so bright out, and the lawn people are doing stuff outside cutting. I'm sure you hear the mowing in the background. That it's really hard to get a good capture of the projection light or the lamp because it's so bright out. And now with a 7 month old taking naps throughout the day, I don't always have the time to go on live when I usually do. So, folks, we're going to kick it off. I'm going to get it in where I could fit it in. Pause. And that's part of what I'm talking about. Do you have the willpower to do what it takes to get it done? Um, One of the things I love about what I do, and good content, bad content. I do have my critics, naysayers, haters, promoters, cheerleaders, all of the above, people who like seeing me, some people who have their opinion of what I do, some people who have their critiques or criticisms and suggestions. Everyone loves to tell me what, I should be talking about next. You got to take it all in stride. That's something I do. And what I've learned to do is appreciate even the hate because it's all part of the watching process. Sometimes it does get very discouraging. I will say is that you tend to absorb a lot when you are doing podcasting or anything in business, and it takes you have to be able to. When I say absorb it, everybody tries to talk about you let things bounce off of you. Well, that's a little harder to do being human. I think people tend to put layers on or layers on people that are not intrinsic to the human condition. When I say that, I mean that you ask someone to not have emotions when people have feelings, people care about things, and maybe people have varying degrees of what they're sensitive to, but everyone has a point where they're at the breaking point, or a point where things do begin to penetrate, in the sense of things said can be more harmful, even though the intent may be good. I always had a person tell me once upon a time, the ulterior motives of a person. What are their intentions? Well, sometimes intention can be more damaging than a person who has who's well wishing and means well. And that's something that people have to be cognizant of when they are doing things throughout in life, is that sometimes your intentions are not enough to validate the harmful effects of the things that you do and cause. And that's not directed at any particular person, but that's just out in general. Sometimes a parent can want a child to do so well that what they do is they cripple the child, meaning that they don't instill confidence because they are over criticism or criticizing. And you can do that a lot even in sports with your children, where you don't promote or congratulate, whereas you always find what's not working, what they could do better, instead of just acknowledging, hey, great job, good things like that. And, like I tell my wife always, sometimes saying good job is enough, or just shutting your goddamn mouth. That also is a good thing to do, which sometimes people need to learn. Is just shutting up is just as well as not saying something or saying something. With that goes, folks, is that on my morning walks with one of my neighbors here, I learn a lot about his culture and the culture of India. And one thing I've learned about in India is the cat, and it's just an education of what people don't know and we in America think is standard. We think it's just an American problem. The gentleman is from southern parts of India, they call it a state called Kerala, and there they speak Malayalam. And any of my Indian watchers, please correct me along the way if you feel that I am misenunciating some of the language skills. And one of the things that I've learned is that a lot of them tend, even here work. A lot of my neighbors are from Eastern India, the country of India, not Native American Indias. They work, in a lot of IT, computer sciences, things like that. One of the things that he did let me know is that they do not have a retirement, like plan pensions, things like that, like we have here in America. That's one of the differences when you talk to people who do not live in this country, that are not residents or born here. You get a lot of insight on what we're getting told is the narrative of how bad America is versus how we compare up to other countries. And I was not aware is that they do not have a a retirement like in Social Security like we do here in this country. When you learn that a lot of times in their the companies that they work for, and this may not be all over India, but for the majority of the part, is that these companies have the workers for a duration of time where, and when they get older, 50s, 60s, they kind of get them out of there and they bring in a new fresh blood, the younger generation, to work in these IT software engineer and support systems with the computer programs that they have. A lot of our beta testing that you do on these application and businesses, these systems that they put in, they're beta tested, or they do all the testing and practical applications to make sure things work. Especially when you're accessing things on your cell phone, they outsource those to India. One, probably because the labor is cheaper as opposed to paying Americans. That is something that they do. But also, in fact, is that India tends to have a big hub of, if you call any place and you need customer service, you're probably going to get an Indian representative, and they're not in America. So they tend to outsource a lot of their computer software work over there. In India, they do have a age out time frame where 50s, 60s, they get older and they don't want them working in there anymore. So you're kind of left to your own devices to make sure you financially are stable enough to be able to support your family in those later years. One of the things I also learned in my education about other cultures in different countries is that they do not they tend to work from the morning to the late at night. That's very similar to here in America. The husband and wife both board a train and they go to the area where they work in a district, a business district, and they work from sun up to sundown. And when they get home, generally it's later. And one of the things that is very similar to American culture is that they don't have the time availability to spend with their children. Well, they're here, a lot of people come here on work visas and things like that, and they get a taste of the different life, the ability to work from home remotely, the social security benefits that America has. And it is very attractive and appeasing. But also, one of the trade-offs is that, they tend to work for pennies on the dollar compared to a lateral American employee. During my walks in conversation, a lot of times people are stuck in a modality of, I'm going to go work a 9 to 5, a corporate job. And that's what I'm talking about, the mindset and willpower. And, during our walks, I said to him, and this is a lot of times, and this is a generational conversation in a lot of ways. I'll break this down a little bit. My grandfathers, they college wasn't a thing for them. Okay. So you got to understand, when you're dealing with your parents or grandparents, their outlook on the positions that we hold about racism, things that are wrong in the world, digital currencies are what do they call it? I want to call like an anarchist mindset, or progressive beliefs in a way, are going to be very much different from what they were going through. And this is for them to also understand too as well. A lot of times the older generation will speak from somewhat of an authority, which is somewhat right because they do have experience, but what happens is there's an unwillingness to understand that certain systems are the same, but our experiences are different. And that I think is where younger people and older people have the disconnect. And that can be from a 6-year-old, 40-year-old, and a 40-year-old to a 20-year-old. There can be a disconnect because a 20-year-old is raised in the digital era full of TikTok and social media. That's a thing for them. I wasn't raised with social media accounts. So when a 60-year-old is trying to talk to a 20-year-old or a 40-year-old that is raising a 20-year-old or younger, there's things that are not the same that a person is looking at and saying, well, you didn't have to deal with cyberbullying. You didn't have to deal with social media accounts like we do now. Hell, when I was about 20 years old, cell phones, which weren't a big thing and growing up, cell phones went from analog to digital. That was a switch that happened. So times have changed. And for a lot of the older generation, and salute to them, um, their mindset on what they wanted to accomplish for their children was different based upon the previous generation before them. And I know people are going to say, where are you going with this? And that's part of where this conversation was going. But I want to layer it out in a way that people can understand what I'm talking about. I definitely get people sometimes saying to me often is that, oh, just get to the point. Well, the point is not that simple to explain when it deals with a generational mindset. And I'm going to take my time explaining things because I want to flesh that out and unpackage it. If you're looking for a quick thing, go watch an IG clip where they tell you everything that they're not doing and things, conversation they're not having. They just simply tell you, here's what you should do. Go invest in a 401k, go buy some crypto and this, and this. And it's just bullshit advice. That's all they're giving you. It's just a bunch of hoopla. They don't live it. They don't talk it. They don't tell you I am doing this. They tell you what you should do. A conversation my marketing executive Eric and I had on our one of our many business dinners that we have. You got a lot of people out here talking about it, but they don't do it. So you're talking to a person who is walking the walk and talking the talk. You got a lot of talkers out there. So, and what I thought about is that, I said, man, you think of someone like Donald Trump, former president. You like him, hate him, or love him. I don't care about that. That's not about this. But the mindset is his father left him millions of dollars to start off real estate holdings and a business mindset to evolve or further and grow what he initially accomplished. Now, you could say a lot of things, but we're looking at a parent having a child and what the child does to grow what is given to them. And then he went on to become a president. The same thing could happen with business executives and wealthy people. Their children go on to run the companies and grow fortunes. And there are going to be a lot of people who say that, yeah, they do blow it. That's part of it too. Well, middle class people and poor people have children that become wealthy and children that become poor just like them. So that it doesn't change no matter what class you're in or what the middle class, upper class, lower class. But again, in most cases, those children go on to grow and evolve the wealth that is passed forward or the assets that are passed forward. Well, a lot of times, and previous generations like my fathers and grandfathers, the my grandfathers, they didn't go to college. Hell, getting a high school diploma may or may not be within their priority. So when they had kids, they wanted their kids to go and get a good education. And get a good education meant getting into the corporate world or any place that would have career opportunities for their children to become economically viable. Well, those are our parents, my parents. And those parents sought after their children replicating or duplicating their experiences. So you get to today's age and now. And getting a degree is not the same thing as it used to be once upon a time. When my parents were going to school, anybody who's 60 now, getting a college degree is no longer special. Mostly everyone who gets out of high school will go on to get a college degree. In fact, it's so commonplace that you actually have less people without college degrees than they do. And most jobs, including, I mean, most jobs are commonplacely hiring with a college degree, even though they don't necessarily need it. This is why legislation is being pushed back to not have people with college degrees be a job requirement anymore, because a lot of people at college become unaffordable. So, I've told my wife that, achieving a college degree is not really special. It's kind of like graduating high school. Everybody does it. The older generation, they still are in the mindset of not understanding that college degrees are commonplace now. So graduating, my kid going to college and being, that's no one knows anyone or rarely knows anyone where it's like, I'm the first one to go to college in my family. That generation is gone. That milestone for being proud of someone going to college and being the first one into college to get a college degree, that is gone. That is no longer the current environment that people such as myself exist in. Mostly everyone I know has a college degree. Most all the people I graduated high school have a college degree. So again, it's become commonplace that things that were once a luxury, an accomplishment. So when you have parents that are bringing their life experience forward, in the case of my parents, what they didn't do was see where the new wave was coming, because when they wanted their kids to get a college degree, they were the generation that went to college. If you want the same thing as what you've looked to accomplish for yourself, for your children, you're going to be a generation behind. That's my point. And I told him that, and saying that your parents did the same thing in India that he's doing now. They might have worked to get him to college. Okay, good. He goes to college. He's working in a corporate environment, and he wants the same thing for his children. Well, we see in these corporate environments nowadays that they're laying off people left and right with every global recession or depression that we have, where sometimes depression might have been country specific. So now the recessions, the depressions, it's all economically globalized in a way where markets are trading more openly than they were once upon a time. So you got to understand how this affects you and your mindset with your children. If I only aspire for, in this day and age, for my kids to go to college and get a college degree, well, what jobs don't, you're not really making your kids economically viable just wanting them to go and get a college degree. Here's why I always promote having a business. And I told, my walking buddy, we were on a walk, and I said, well, when you get older, okay, that you get out, your son goes in and takes your place. All they're doing is recycling a generation of workers. What you've done is created a new generation of workforce. You haven't really evolved the bloodline. The whole point of having kids realistically is to have descendants that make the family more economically viable and successful, and a chance of continuing on the bloodline, past yourself, your own lifetime. Otherwise, why have kids? Really? I mean, really, it's really no real point, to have children. You could say, well, I want to have kids, but then they get older, so it doesn't last that long. And the reason why I bring this up is because it takes a mindset stronger than, you got to look past your own biases to see what your children are going to need in the future. And when I say that, I told him, I said, if your child lives to be 80 years old and you're only satisfied that you got them from 0 to 20, well, that's a quarter of their life. If your parenting extends to a quarter of your child's life, then that means you're spending more time not being a parent to them than you are being a parent, because they still are your child. I saw an IG video of a father. His son was working, I think, at a AutoZone, and his father brought his son lunch. Out the blue, his son didn't know, and he said, even though they're adults, you still have to remind them that you're there for them. And he brought his son, some Burger King, McDonald's. Kid must have been 20, 22, mid 20s. And what he was showing him was like, hey, I know you're going to do a lot in your life, but I'm still here for you. I'm still your father. You're not a child, but you're still my child, meaning that my job is not over until I'm done existing in the physical plane as a parent to you, which means that you will stumble financially. You will stumble in life. There may be things that you're not able to achieve. That's where my help comes in, because realistically, a lot of parents in the older generation, they've only settled on leaving you a house that they may or may not own at the time. And most of the time, they may have the house paid off or not paid off. And again, if you have multiple siblings, how are you going to leave one house to 5 children or 6 children or 2 children? It always is going to create some sort of division. This happens all the times with the states, big or large, small or large, excuse me. So again, how do you gather more resources or assets to be able to leave to your descendants to be able to grow it? That's the mindset that I'm talking about. I talked with him about that, my walking buddy. And I said that if all you're doing is getting him a college degree to go work in a corporate job, then when the job lays them off, say you're the VP of, regional VP of whatever bank, and you cover the whole Northeast. Well, when they downsize, you're down that job. Well, what if you just bought a mortgage with your family? What if you just got a house? Now you're out of a job and they're downsizing everywhere. So it's going to be very hard to get that corporate executive job, or you might have to relocate. Might have to remove. Well, again, wives don't always go for that. And that's the whole point of having a family. Most people do not understand is that, yeah, you might have a high paying job right now, but it could be the job downsizes like we see now, or they get rid of your position, but you're financially invested in where you're living at in the form of a home, your family, you have roots. Now that puts a strain on your marriage. Now you find yourself living in an apartment because your wife says no, and she's not happy with the situation because you can no longer provide in the same capacity in this corporate job that you've now been fired or downsized or laid off from. And the whole point is that in this aspiration for this corporate job that pays very well, you're no longer in control of the road and the destination that you're heading. Because in that job, no matter how high or low, when a company decides to downsize, if your name is called, you get the severance package, or you get told you got 2 weeks worth of pay, and they send you on your way. You're up out of here. When that happens, what do you do then? What do you have other than, okay, you have the equity in the home. Okay, well, if you're selling it, send it down. What do you do then? Again, what do you leave your children that they can build upon? This is what I'm talking about, the willpower to do things outside. And I'm going to bring this back to the conversation where I'm going with this is, what do you do to build upon growing assets in a generational capacity? That's what I'm talking about, the willpower. Because again, we tend to get comfortable being in a place of safety, which is not safe, like a corporate job. Because it's not safe, because someone could decide that you're out of here. Your job's over. You're done. We don't need you anymore. Thank you for your time. Thank you for growing the company. You're out of here. And I'm talking about in a corporate job, not in a small business that someone actually needs your skill in order to develop. It's kind of a symbiotic relationship at that point. But in a corporate world where you have an identity number, an ID number, you're going to be one of many. You're replaceable. They can find a better you or another you. You're not offering anything of value. I talk with my executive manager, Eric Kennedy, about this, is that you don't have people you have people in the job that are grazers. This is what I call grazers. People who do the job, they go into work, they, serve the food, and then they go home, and then that's it. They do the job, and that's it. They don't do anything extra. Those are your grazers, like cattle. Okay. And those are the people that get laid off because you can replace them easily. And with AI coming and automation coming, something else that is new, that is not there before, because you didn't have artificial intelligence to the level it is now. AI coming is going to replace a lot of the cattle workers that do menial tasks, that do day-to-day tasks. There's nothing that they do that is a creative need for the corporation that a AI can't do in some limited capacity, which is evolving now as we speak. When you are the grazers, you are just doing the job every day in and in. You don't bring any extra value to the company. You are replaceable. I told my executive manager Eric, I said, hey, you're the only one in my business organization, save for a few other people in certain capacities, that bring me back what I call, you bring me back prey. You go out and hunt. He's coming back with ideas. Whether I like them or not, that's a different story. But again, I value the fact that he's bringing me new ideas that bring value to me, which makes him essential for my business, because I have a person that goes out and hunts and brings back, food for the tribe, if you will. Those, you had the hunters. They're not grazers. They go out and bring back opportunities or avenues for a business. Well, if you're not one of those people, you have to look at your career path and say, at any point I could be let go. And a lot of people don't realize that until they actually are let go. Such as myself as a nurse, my company could downsize and they could say we not need nurses, people who are just brand new nurses according to seniority, because I'm on a union. I have high seniority for working there for a long time. Well, a brand new nurse decided she's going to get herself a Benz. She just got a down payment on a house because she has her first nursing job, has now found out that she's part of the layoff group for low seniority. Well, her next job opportunity for making the level of money she was anticipating may take her 40 to 50 minutes or an hour away from where she currently works within driving range. Will she have that measure of discipline, as we've said with Don Coombs, to go that far? A lot of people don't. They may do it or may not do it, or they may try to do something else. And a lot of people don't have anything else other than that job. My daughter, I told him my daughter Penelope is working within the business on my accounts receivables. I've said that to people before. She does when someone makes a land payment. If you own a property from me and you're making payments, my daughter is doing your accounting. She is, whenever you pay me money, she's logging those payments for a $50 a month payment. I've talked about kids working in business, and now I'm doing it. Again, the doer of the talkers. There's a difference. She's now logging those payments. She met our mobile notary person that I work with. And I told my wife, I said, your daughter is being shown how to operate in a business. She's learning skills outside of going and get a degree. I told my walking buddy Anish, I said, you can get your son to go to the best schools, go to Harvard, work for a law firm, but he can be fired just like the rest if he doesn't have his own firm. You can be let go for any time. Hell, in this day and age, you could have your whole career ruined just on a social media for doing something wrong and being canceled publicly. So it's not just the fact that you could be canceled for wrongdoing or the fact that you get laid off. You can be canceled through cancel culture and have your reputation done over where you may not have done something wrong. You might just be getting slandered from people within your own daily life. That's how critical it is. But again, you don't own anything where people can work for you. You can build something where you can pass it down where people have the opportunity to grow it. That's what I'm talking about. And as I'm walking with him, this person who actually speaks another language, he speaks his native tongue, the Malayalam, excuse me, and he speaks English. His English is getting better because we take walks and he gets practice with me. And, I advance his English speaking skills. And he has graphic design backgrounds, things like that. And I'm like, man, and we talked about opportunities. And he's like, oh, I want to do this. I'm looking for that. And I told him, I said, why don't you're telling me you can't be a translator? There are not businesses that want to work in India like myself or other people at other English speaking businesses that may not know Malayalam that may need a translator. Yeah, you can use Google Translate, but Google Translate can't interpret inferences or slang or common dialect or certain terms. It's only a certain amount of percentage right. And again, it doesn't let you know when something's wrong, like mannerisms between a person, when you're in danger, or when a person's lying to you. Translation just gives you just basic vocabulary words for you to be able to have a conversation, but understanding things that are nonverbal. A person native to that tongue will be able to understand when things are not right or things are right, or when something seems like it's not good, or when a person is saying something that may not be translatable from the app. And he thought about it for a second. Now I told him, I said, I just came up with this while we're walking. Imagine if you had translation services that you did remotely. A person such as myself, I have Spanish speaking clients. Well, I'm not proficient in Spanish, but I do need Spanish translators. And I have a on-call girl who, Elise, shout out to Elise. You've seen her in our other videos last 2 years ago in the rink when we did with the Melanin Market. She's Italian, father's from Spain, and she speaks both languages, including English. So she's trilingual. Well, I can call her, we can get on the phone, and she can communicate and translate with Spanish speaking clients, as she's done many a time. She gets paid for that while she's going to school and earning a degree. That's a skill. But again, someone with a mindset, the willpower, has to be able to put that person in that position or capacity to be able to be um, used or accessed at the time to they have a skill. Now, normally she wouldn't use that skill unless she's going to Spain. But if she were to have a business mindset, if he were to have a business mindset of creating a business around something he already has a gift for, which is language, and create a marketability for that, he now has a business model to pass down to his son or his daughter or his children at large to be able to say, grow this where we can do this not only in America, we can do this in England, Germany, and other countries where we can translate people who want to do business in this part of India. Now that he loved the idea, but he didn't have the mindset to think about it. And that's what I'm saying. So again, in the normal version, what he does is he creates the next generation of workers. He creates the next generation, go to school, get a degree, get an education, go and get a job, but become an employee. Don't become a business owner. Don't create things outside of that. And in the time of like he's here under his, his wife's on a work visa. So they're not citizens. She's working. But again, if he had this business back in India, he would be here because he has, to take care of his daughter because his wife is here working. He would be generating income in India where he would just need to manage his business from America while his wife is working here on her visa. You get that mindset? That's what I'm talking about, the willpower. So, not with going in his business, but his job that he has in India because his wife is here and they're looking for opportunities. Again, your opportunity may not be where you are. Sometimes you may have to go further for your opportunity. Well, he's saying, I got to put my job on freeze. They're going to give him 2 years to say, okay, we'll keep your job. After that, you're the out of you're the out of here. You're done. You're a number, an employee ID. Thank you for your time, but get the out of here. You know what you are? You're an employee. That's the way they're going to treat him. They're going to hold that job for 2 years. Well, if his wife is still working here and has a better opportunity, he may end up losing his source of income, his job, his career. Now, I don't know about y'all, but a man that doesn't have a purpose or a guiding light, there's nothing worse for us than to not be working idle, to be idle. We need to be able to accomplish things. That's part of our nature. A man, not a male. There's a difference. Not all males are men, but all men are males. Know the difference. My point in saying that is that when he's trying to find a way to create, to provide for his children, to be a man for his wife, to be able to maintain the leadership of the household or be of value. This is the same thing in a family, in a business, anything else. Again, your mindset has to become outside of the employee mindset, the grazer. What you see is people out here who have a grazing mindset. They do not have any willpower to see their abilities, assess what they can do, and create opportunities from the things that they actually can do. Now, I was talking to somebody, I said, listen, when you are in India and your mom, I think his mom lives in New York or in the States, can you not call your mom? Can she not call you at any time? He says, yes. I said, can she call you from New York and call you in India, get you in a split second? He says, yes. I said, so you're in the most digital, economic, most advanced technological age, and you don't see opportunities abound. That's because the mindset is limited to the employee mindset. This is why they have caste system in India. It's designed to keep you there. The same way they have caste system in, excuse me, caste system in India, we have class. It's no secret, it sounds the same here in America. You see the billionaires and the trillionaires, and again, most of the time, it's not like it's not like you cannot be poor and become a billionaire. Jay-Z, anybody? I mean, Puffy, these people they weren't millionaire parents. So being a billionaire is not, it's not a secret society where you can't get in. Everyone has the ability to become wealthy in this country. That's why we call it the land of the free. But the problem is the mindset behind people to say, hey, I have a career. Let me do that. Like I've done with Errol. I've interviewed Errol. He's doing real estate and nursing. How many people have I interviewed or brought on this show that have taken opportunities outside of their main career and build a business laterally, or are working within a business in some high advanced capacity? And what they do is have the mindset to build, to build the willpower to do what needs to be done. I mean, I'm not just, but my marketing executive, Eric, I don't even know how he does it. But again, he works for me. He has his main job. He does another side job. And then he's always still looking for opportunities. When does he rest? I'm doing this business live streaming. I got a 7-month-old, a soon to be 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, baseball practices, softball practices, and you still see YouTube videos coming on every day. We're still running a land business. I still do my nursing stuff. And again, the reason why I'm not doing anything special, all I'm doing is having the willpower to do what needs to be done and the ability to grow, to pass on something for my children to grow further. That's when I keep talking about this generational mindset. So again, a lot of times our job as parents. Now, again, I don't want someone to come in and tell me I've got it wrong because you're 70 years old and you got another opinion. Great for you. But I'm talking about me being the current parent in today's economy, society, with things that are not, that are different because I have not experienced them. I don't give a about what you know. I'm talking about what I have walked through in my daily life. Okay. There's my brother told me something a long time ago that I had to respect. I could give him all the experiential advice in the world of what not to do, but sometimes he wanted to learn from it on his own. What I did not do is take that and say, okay, well, you, bro, you go ahead and go do it on your own and suffer the consequences. No, what I told him is when he needs me, I will be there. When he needs guidance, I will be there to educate him. He can go, but don't fall before you call me. Stumble, but don't fall. I didn't take it where I needed to decide to be his God of authority. I took it and said, you got to grow on your own, but know that I'm always behind you if you need me. You just got to call. I tell people that all the time. When you're behind on your payments with me, don't tell me the date of payments due. I'm going to be late. Okay, cool. Guess what? If you're past this day, I'm taking the property back. If you let me know ahead of time something's going up, communicate, talk with me. I can understand. Sometimes people don't do that and they got to get the stick. Other times people get the carrot. Hey, we'll make an adjustment. I've adjusted payments, things like that. But the main thing was people communicated, especially men. They dropped their pride and said, hey, and I said, okay, cool. We're at this date. Our agreement's been this. We've adjusted. I'm going to give you opportunity. But if you don't, then I'm doing this. Stick. And my point is, a lot of times people come and tell you things and it's like, okay, but I haven't experienced that. So what does your information matter to me if I have not experienced this? And many times my listeners have not experienced things that I even may know, which is why I always say this broadcast is always meant to educate, entertain, and enlighten. If you already know the information, then be entertained. If there's some points that I've covered that you may not have known, then be enlightened. And if you don't know, which some of my audience doesn't know, then they would be educated. It's meant to serve in three parts because sometimes people may be busy in their lives and they do not have the time to find information that is critical and necessary to the people who are not retiring or about to retire. There are new people having families that don't have the mindset that I do that can learn from this content. That's what it's designed for. So again, when we're talking about people who can benefit from the mindset that I'm bringing forth, ask yourself, like my walking buddy did, is there a value? Can you see in what I'm saying? Does it work for you? Is the application of what I'm saying there, or do you just not like it because it makes you uncomfortable? When you feel yourself disagreeing because you're uncomfortable, then that means there's something in your ego that is blocking you from receiving information. I've covered a video about Fed Now. And one of the things I'm always laughing at is that when I cover videos or information about new things coming out, I go straight to the source, fedreserve.gov. And yeah, that video might have did 50 views, and that's fine. I go on IG and I see a person, young person, talking about Fat Now, and they've got all this animated stuff like this, and a lot of the information was wrong. 91,000 views because it's cartoonish. It looks great. Not from the Fed Reserve website. No information that is actually from the information there. It's more shock value content that is not based in fact. It doesn't have any research or due diligence behind it. It's not from the source. And I always tell people all the time, if you're watching someone that can't cite a source, that doesn't bring you the original information from the authority that has it. Now, I'm not saying that now will not be, they may not evolve it, but I go straight to the website and tell you what's coming out. It can't be something that's not new if they are just about to launch this program in July, right? Because something that it there was no time where the Fed knew every little payment that you were going to have. But again, I got 50 views. This person gets 91,000 views because they created all the little animatronics and the cartoon things for people to capture their attention. I don't mind that, and I don't hate on that person. I actually give the video a like because you know what? They were creative enough to create a process to attract people's attention, but their information was wrong. What they've done is taken information from other people and recycled it in a way to make it look pretty for you buying a lemon of information. What I'm giving you is the seed to grow your own lemon tree, to make your own decisions, to create your own path to build businesses. What I do love is people like Eric that come and bring things that add value, not tell me things that take away value from what I'm trying to accomplish. I don't care if 100,000 people listen to me or one person listens to me. What I value is one person getting 100% of value from what I'm saying rather than 100,000 people give me a like because it was pretty. And that's why this information holds weight throughout time because it's cited from the sources. When I went to talk about paying your children, I went to the irsgov.gov site to show you the information so you can say, I know where to go, I know where to look, and I know how to be informed. A lot of the information that I get on some of these concepts, which I never heard of before, but I see these IG videos and that no one is telling me they're doing this on these big monetized platforms. And you know why they monetize them and they give them 2-3 million views? Because they're telling you misinformation. When you tell people how to go the wrong way, the people in power can go the right way. The people who are getting the less views are, well, I'm not going to say less views, but people like myself that are giving you factual, citable information with a source involved, or they are walking and talking the walk, will give you the information that they're doing, which is why it gets suppressed a lot. Because if everyone becomes empowered, knowledgeable on how to do the right things, the people that are looking to gain from that, they have competition. That's what I'm talking about, the willpower and mindset. Think about that for a second. And I tell even my children, does it make sense what I'm saying? Does it make sense of what I'm saying? If it doesn't, then you can decide in your own mind that that's there. If you're uncomfortable or you have a feeling evoked from what I'm telling you, then that's a problem within you. But again, that's what I would do if I did not want people to know how to do things the right way. I would give them some truth with mostly half truths. And guess what? That's what sells nowadays. So again, folks, I want to let you know the whole point of this, how you avoid that is, again, first of all, you got to check your circle. So we're going to move on past the pitfalls and the points because I've talked about that, I think, now for a good amount of time. Do not create the next generation of you and your accomplishment. Every generation in society is advancing beyond a certain point from the society that we will have children in. Our children will grow up with, if you go to Walmart, Walmarts are closing down, layoffs, cities are retracting, the birth rates are going down. We now have digital currencies, Fed now, crypto. They're going to grow up the same way 20-year-olds grew up with cell phones. I didn't grow up with cell phones. I grew up with pagers and beepers. Then MP3 players came out. Now we have satellite radio. I remember when that was a new thing. My point is, your children will grow up with things that are new to you that are not new to them. They will become commonplace. So you have to understand that your goals and wishes for them are going to be commonplace when they get to be your age. You've got to go beyond that. You have skills. Skills are hireable. You just have to market your skills. When you are a graphic designer, you have a great job. You have a great knack at sewing. You speak a language. You have you can draw very well. Those are skills that you can teach to your children that a degree cannot. Because you have to be able to get the degree in order to pass to be able to get it. You're just, and a degree is, only thing a degree is an accomplishment in academia. Everyone has a degree doesn't mean they're going to have a great career. Doesn't mean they're going to get a high paying job. Degrees do not equate to success. They are a milestone now. So my kid going to college, I got 2 kids that went through college. Yeah, so do people who graduate from a community college. You didn't accomplish anything. My point is, your children, when they get done at 22, they have the next 20 years to get prepared for. Now they're an infant in the adult world, and they have to become 20-year-old adults. That's at 40. Okay. By then, they're going to have families. When you're 60, what are you teaching and passing on knowledge on how they can progress and teach that to the next generation? That's what I'm talking about. Generational wealth. It's also knowledge, mindset, the passing on of skills. Farmers teach their children how to know certain signs with farming, how to know when a crop does this. There's generational knowledge that gets passed down through experience, but it's to benefit and grow the knowledge so this generation can teach the next generation. So the family, the bloodline can become more powerful and dominate in society. Once you get to that kind of mindset, that kind of thinking, you're going to see a shift in your ability to be able to push your family towards certain destinations. You are. And I'm here to tell you that's what you need. A lot of these how-tos, invest in this. What did Eric send me the other day? Thing about a guy who's on IG talking about a Lamborghini. This whole thing about buying cars in your business. He said buying a Lamborghini. Okay, well, the tax code that they're talking about, which I'm going to look up in another video, is buying a car for your business and getting the whole purchase written off, and the car being written off as an asset instead of a liability when you buy it under your normal name versus that. I talk to these people all the time about when you buy things. I bought shorts, shirts, and socks for when I travel. Well, when I travel, I do land videos. The clothes that I bought at Walmart the other day to be comfortable on my plane ride to California, I wrote off as a business expense because I am going to be doing land videos and all this stuff. It's part of a business expense. So when I buy clothes for my business. I don't buy them for myself. I bought this hat on Amazon, but I wear it in my podcast. It's a business expense. Okay. If I bought it just because I want to wear a Kango going to the Bahamas, it would be not a business expense. It would be a personal expense. So I've shifted my buying to things that I need in a business. See what I mean? I'm doing different things here. So when they're saying about buying a car and putting in your business, I tell Eric the same thing I'm going to tell everybody else. When everybody talks about getting business credit, getting company credit cards and having this stuff and writing off, I'm going to keep saying the same thing. I'll tell you the same thing. First thing you got to do if you're going to do all of this stuff is generate a freaking profit. You got to be generating income. It sounds great. It sounds good being able to write a vacation off. But again, what are your profits that you're generating for you to be able to say, I'm going to spend this and write it off on a business. You have to be producing income in your business, and you got to be producing profit. Income and profit are two different things. You got to have a profit in your business to be able to write off stuff. If you look closely, you'll find most businesses generate no income. They don't generate a profit. What they are debt silos. There's no company valuation. There's no company worth. They're not taking it to an IPO, nothing. What you do see is your work 401ks, your retirement invested in companies with IPOs that have stock options, et cetera, et cetera. Those are businesses. Not I have something else and you go online and you can't look up anything or find a daggone business. If you type Ancestry Lands in Google, you will find a whole page of actual information, including my name. I always tell people, Google Phil Davis Ancestry Lands, and you will see that whole front page be full of listings. We'll do the same thing with Coca-Cola, Pepsi, or any other big businesses, and you will start seeing listings. But if you go to Shaniqua's hairstyle salon and you don't find it because it's not an actual registered business, it's someone doing a side hustle. What I'm saying, build businesses. Build something that you can teach your children, not only the skill side, the business side, because people in America can always start a business. You're never going to be a millionaire or be financially free or well off where you can survive in retirement. With the income you're using now in your corporate job, you will not be making $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month if you do when you retire. Okay. If another market deplete comes down, your 401k is trash. A business will give you supplemental income to give you the $4, $5, $6, $7,000 a month that you need, or you need to work in one. And what I'm talking about is a small business where you're integral for the survivorship of the business, such as my marketing executive, Eric. He's integral for the business. Losing him would take a hit for me. So again, build businesses, folks. When I say this, I mean this in all good things. Build a business. Teach your children skills. Teach your children how to do certain things that they can do beyond a degree. Why do we have to wait for the government to start saying, well, we want to make jobs more accessible, so we're going to take away requirements for business needing degrees in order for people to get jobs that they need? They're doing that now. Why? Because again, the degrees do not lead to outcomes. Teach your children skills. That's my point. If you know how to sell a house or you're a realtor, teach your children how to become sales, how to create email lists. So even if they're doing whatever they're selling, they're doing a different kind of business, they still need sales and they still need email lists. Your skills can be taught. The things you're good at can be taught. You don't know when your children are going to need them or when they may manifest. But again, teaching them those skills will be integral for them being successful in life. Because again, they may be in a job where they say, I have to have some sales skills. And a person may hire them because they like their ability to sell. They may not have a marketing degree, but they may have a good salesmanship or a presentation that allows them to get a job. That's what I'm saying. Build skills that can be turned into business opportunities for your children so they can now take what you've done and pass it forward. Again, pass it forward. If you got a house and it's good, you got a house, you ain't got for your kids. You ain't got nothing for your kids. If we're waiting on you to die, you don't have really anything to benefit the generations now. Because hell, I could die before you. You ain't really got nothing to help now build this. Great. When we're all old and gray and my kids are whatever else, they ain't nothing they can use to help build and grow the generations now. It doesn't help. Donald Trump's been doing real estate for a long time. He got his hand off early in life so he can grow up to be now. And that has led, whether you believe it or not, to him becoming a president where he's 70 and his children will no longer, they're in a different echelon, whether you like them or not. They can go in different countries and you say Trump, they know that name. You say, I'm Trump, Donald Trump. He's your father? Yeah, okay. Doors open. They're not going to do it with Phil Davis or Raheem Jones or Donnie White or even Dale Earnhardt. Dale Earnhardt Jr., that name opens doors. But again, you've got to be able to grow it. It's no secret that Dale Earnhardt and Dale Earnhardt Jr. both are NASCAR legends. Ken Norton was a boxer. His son was a football player. There is resources of things that he taught his son beyond that, so his son could become a professional football player. But again, you're Ken Norton's father, opens doors. It wasn't him leaving a bunch of holdings. He built something where his name opened doors. Again, folks, that's game for you all. Let me get the closing argument. So, folks, I do want to thank people for watching the show, even on a replay. I do appreciate people watching, even on the playback. Folks, make sure that you remember our sponsors, everyhomelife.com. I'm enjoying that we have sponsors. I'm enjoying us reaching 60,000. That's a really great accomplishment. 60,000 subscribers. Thank you all, folks. I really appreciate that. It takes a while to grow something this level. Not only that, but we've got almost 600 followers on Facebook. We got 200 and something on Instagram. We're booming on TikTok, moving on Twitter. Things take a while to grow. And sometimes when the tide is low, you feel discouraged that you'll never be able to go out there and fish again. What you got to do in that time is prepare. All right. That's time to strengthen the things you're weak at, to formulate plans and new modes of attack to be able to accomplish things, because the tide will come back in. You got to increase your mindset to understand business, skills, talk to your children, teach your children, and think of what you can do to grow or to give knowledge towards having the next generation grow. Folks, this is Phil Davis. You've been live with Uncle Phil. It's just past 9, almost 10 o'clock on the, on the West Coast. So, folks, make sure you tune in after you headed to lunch. Pop on a replay. Ancestry Lands. This is Positive Talk, episode number 27. 27, huh? Not counting the On the Roads with Uncle Phil. We'll get back to that in a couple weeks. Folks, I hope you have been educated, enlightened, and entertained. Make sure you go to ancestrylands.com for all our available properties. Donate to the show, $ Ancestry Lands, and Ancestry Lands on Venmo, folks. We appreciate it. You have a wonderful day. Take care.
Are you confused with today's real estate market? With high interest rates and overpriced housing, it can be hard to find something to own at the right price. Available on Amazon, Getting Dollars from Dirt by author Philip H. Davis is a game-changing book that invites you to embark on a thrilling exploration of this often overlooked asset class. This book is your roadmap to unlocking the secrets of vacant land investment. Inside these pages, you will uncover the transformative power of vacant land as a wealth-building tool. Discover how to spot promising properties, assess their true value, and capitalize on market trends. From understanding zoning and permits to leveraging financing strategies, you'll gain the knowledge and confidence to make savvy investment decisions. With each page you turn, you'll gain a deeper understanding of the profound impact your investments can have on the world around you. Getting Dollars from Dirt is not just a guidebook, it's a call to action. Whether you're a seasoned investor or a curious novice, this book will empower you to tap into the immense potential of vacant land and embark on a journey toward financial freedom and a brighter future.